Thank you.
Welcome.
I submitted my testimony earlier, and I have brought along someone from my town, and I just wanted to give a brief few comments before I hand it over to Mr. Lesko, who runs Lesko and Polk Funeral Home in my community, and I'm speaking on HB 5244, which is a bill that I introduced with Senator McKinney. Senator McKinney and I have put together a business advisory council last spring, and we had a variety of different businesses we work with every 6 weeks to discuss different issues that affect their businesses. And Mr. Lesko has a funeral home, Lesko and Polk, which actually has been around for 122 years. And he brought up the fact that he isn't allowed to serve a cup of coffee or a cup of tea to people who come to use his service. So that's why we put the bill in. I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Lesko for the remainder of my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and please state your name for the record.
Yes, of course. My name is Kevin Lesko. I'm the co-owner of Lesko and Polk Funeral Home. I'd like to take the opportunity, Madam Chair Johnson and the members of this committee, to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I am speaking on behalf of the problem in the present law for funeral homes that are not allowed to have any food in the funeral home to be served or to be brought in. It is a finable offense. The solution is, in fact, the new bill that is being presented, 5244, a bill that has the opportunity to allow gestures of hospitality. When we sit with families, it is quite often a wonderful opportunity to offer them maybe a cup of coffee or a tea, something soothing, something that would be comforting. That issue would be, in fact, a finable offense. The application of this, if you consider, maybe not everyone in this room has gone to a funeral in the last month, but in fact you probably have gone to some type of place that has offered in their lobbies as a courtesy, maybe to having your oil change while you're waiting. It could be in the hotel lobby. It could be in a hair salon. It could be any place such as that where you go in and in fact they do in fact offer you that cup of coffee. Well, in fact, or you might have brought that coffee in and you're sitting and waiting. Either of those actions in a funeral home would be a finable offense. So the new bill would in fact correct that. 45 other states in the United States allow the use of or the ability to have food inside of a funeral home. The families, in fact, that are being served, they do receive that comforting hospitality. The issue right now also is that we have a division within the Connecticut Funeral Directors Association that they're not sure part of the association wishes to have that ability and other parts do not want that to come forward, the new bill. I say that in fact the arguments when you hear them against this bill, even possibly by the Funeral Director Association's lobbyists, please consider that much of the opposition or opposition's reasoning can be dismissed by the fact that funeral homes can choose, in fact, if they want to participate or not. Think of the passage of the bill as a helpful tool to those who are trying to do their very best in caring for the funeral home and for the families we serve.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I'm just wondering, I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
And I'm wondering, would it just be, are you saying you want to serve food and you want to provide drinks, or would just drinks be acceptable?
Beverages are primarily what we're trying to accomplish. Again, non-alcoholic in nature, coffee, tea, soft drinks of that nature. It is helpful to maybe have the ability to have a cookie tray or something of that nature, but nothing of a position to take as a reception. It is not. We're not talking about trying to accomplish a funeral reception. We're talking about, again, going back to minimal hospitality.
Good. I was just wondering about that, because when I saw the bill at first, that was one of the things that especially when you have a larger facility, you might have the capacity for something like that.
That is correct. And in fact, that's probably part of what needs to be looked at with the bill, is to be able to have an appropriate place within a facility to accommodate.
Very good. Representative Cook.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for testifying, and I still scratch my head every day when some of the strangest things roll in front of us that you never know actually exist.
Thank you.
As we do in our position, and we obviously all have loved ones and attend funeral homes and the likes, there has, in my visiting of different funeral homes, been coffee or tea, water and things there. Is it something that the family can bring in and you cannot provide, or is it across the board and nothing should be brought in? Can you explain if there's a difference?
Sure. What I can say, within how the law is particularly set up, having food at all inside of a funeral home that is being provided to anyone but employees. You can have an employee lounge. We can eat there as employees, but we cannot provide food, nor are we supposed to have families bring in food. And so it really does jeopardize any funeral home, and it's very awkward to go to a family member, a direct family member, and say, "I'm sorry, you just bought that cup of Starbucks coffee and it looks great, but you're going to have to throw it out now." It's just, you can't do things like that. We're in a position of being very gentle wherever we can and very open. But yes, anything else? Did I answer that correctly? You
did. Now, as trivial as this might be, is that the same for having a water cooler and providing a drink?
Water can be provided. Water is the only item that can be provided. But if you put a slice of lemon in that water, in fact, it is wrong.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any Representative Zoning?
I'm going to assume that there's current statutes that prohibit this, and this is what you're trying to alleviate. Do you have any history of how that came to be, how the statute exists that you cannot do this? Did it pose a certain public health risk? And if so, what was the evidence presented at the time that said this is a public health risk?
And that's fair enough. It goes back before. I've been a funeral director for 25 years. It goes back before me. My understanding, and it might be folklore, but it's my understanding that many, many years ago, that funeral homes were trying to get into the reception business. And in fact, it was decided from the restaurant industry side that wasn't such a great thing. And so the law was generated. That is not anything that I've read. It's something I've been told. So take it for what it is. But that is not what we're trying to accomplish today.
Your answer doesn't really pose any public health risks. It sounds like a business competition issue, so to speak. People were worried that somebody would open Jones Funeral Home and Banquet Facility, I'm guessing, and while you're here, we're going to have a little lunch after and sell them lunch, I suppose.
When in fact, if a funeral home really wanted to do that, as long as it was a separate building, they can do that. They can go and buy their own restaurant, and they can promote their own receptions if that's what they wanted to do.
Do you think that some of the members of your association are inclined to do so in the future? Should we allow this?
I don't think that would be the case, but certainly you would need to look at the language of this bill or add language that would prompt that to not happen. That's not what we're trying to accomplish.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Senator Kane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to know if if Italian funeral homes will offer cappuccino and espresso. I'm teasing you. I think it's a good idea. I have someone who's just been to 3 funerals in the last month. I think it's a smart idea, and I look forward to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Maroney.
Yes, thank you very much for taking the time to come up here and testify today. Can you give me a little background? Are you familiar with, is this a practice in any other states that they do not allow food served? I know when I went to funerals in Pennsylvania.
There are, I believe, 5 other states within the total of the United States that do not allow it. I want to say that New York is one of them. I want to say that Massachusetts is another. But the other, there's another 45 out there that do allow it, to varying degrees. Some actually do have full-blown catering services within their facility. Typically, that's Midwest or West, very progressive in nature. We're typically a little more conservative here in New England.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any additional questions? Thank you so much for coming today and providing your testimony.
Thank you. And I just would like to add that I realize that the Funeral Association has a sort of a mixed position on this. And I think what I think you might be able to attribute that to is sort of the old guard versus sort of the new guard. I think people are very comfortable sometimes in business models and don't want to have to deal with doing anything more than they do now. However, I think that it's appropriate to offer the option to funeral homes to be able to, and as I said in my testimony that I submitted, written testimony, it's a comforting thing to offer someone a cup of coffee. When someone comes into your home to visit you, you always offer them a beverage, a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. And when someone's going through a very difficult time, when they lose a family member, I think it's fair for funeral directors to be able to offer them that simple hospitality. And again, I do very much appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you so much for being here and presenting this today. Very well done. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Representative Hovey had one question, too.
Sorry, that just tweaked something that I had been thinking about, and I agree with you. Civility is a necessity these days. I have the question, though. Is your funeral home family-owned or small-town-owned, or is it corporate-owned at this point in time?
Certainly. Just a very quick background, actually, is my family started in 1909. I'm a fifth-generation funeral director. We were in Bridgeport originally and moved out into Fairfield. My partner, Frank Polk, his family is another fifth-generation funeral director, began their business in 1890. We merged about 6 or 7 years ago, so for about 100 years we competed with each other. Full-out competition. We are family-owned. That is what our position is. But my point to that is if we can compete for 100 years and find commonality within that period of time, certainly over time there's an opportunity for change as well, and change can be good. I did write up a letter of opinion that I think I have copies that each of you might be able to receive upon the closure of this meeting. So thank you so much. Did that answer your question? Yes.
Thank you so much. No, she didn't. Bruce Lott, please.